Live from City of Wolverhampton College, this is the Wolf Debate, hosted by Olivia Herbert.
Welcome to the Wolf Debate. I'm Olivia and I'll be your host for this afternoon. On today's show we are going to be talking about crime and community. We are joined by 4 panellists. Would you just like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
I'm Jo Chilton. I'm the Chief Inspector for Local Policing in Wolverhampton.
I'm Jamie Powis and I work for a youth community group in Wolverhampton called Kick FM.
I'm Shirley Out. I'm a community crime fighter.
Okay, we'll be giving the audience time to ask questions. And could I just start with, to what extent do you think young people are involved in crime? I'll just ask you that question.
Okay, crime's committed by a whole variety of people, not just youth crime. They're not the main offenders. It's spread wide across the spectrum. So I think sometimes the perception that's portrayed in the media differs to some of the reality. But crime's committed by all age groups, not just youths.
Yeah. Do any of the audience have any questions? The man in the stripy top, please.
My question is to you, Jo. Why does it take the police so long to get to incidents?
Any incidents that come in, we have a national protocol that we follow around grading of response. So depending on the nature of the call, and we have call handlers who are trained, they'll get as much information from the caller as possible. Any calls will then be graded, and depending on the grading of that response for that incident will depend on the time in which an officer attends. So if it's urgent, it's life-threatening, it will be an immediate call, and we aim to answer most of our immediates within 10 minutes. If it's a early response call, we aim to answer them within an hour, and anything else is a routine call, and we aim to get to them as soon as possible. So it would depend on the nature of the call, the assessment made by the call handler as to what response you will get.
Thank you.
It took 2 hours to get from, because I live down by Walsall. It took 2 hours to get from Darlaston to Walsall, because I got hit and got my scooter robbed. It took them 2 hours to get to me. They said you'd be there in 10 minutes. It took them 2 hours.
Okay, I can't answer on case specifics without the details. This is around what our generic response times are set at.
Thank you. Man in the jumper.
Sorry. What happens, let's say I'm being attacked and stuff like that, then I decide to protect myself, then I hurt them in a very bad way. Will that be considered as a crime?
That will be down for the courts to decide. It could be a crime because the law allows self-defence, but it's what's reasonable to that reasonable person at the time. So if that other person made a complaint against you, it would have to be investigated, and it would go for the Crown Prosecution Service to make a decision. But ultimately, use of force, if they think it's over and above what is reasonable, you could end up at court. However, the law does allow for self-defence.
So how can I defend myself in a very bad situation?
You have to be reasonable in what you do, and you have to be able to justify it at a later date.
Thanks. Being a broadcast journalism, what role do you think the media plays in crime?
Crime. I really hate this negative stereotype people give young people, because it's absolutely rubbish. I've lived in Wolverhampton all my life. I've worked with young people from Wolverhampton for about 2 years, kind of community stuff and everything, and I've never met a bad person. Everyone's got their own kind of talents, their own skills and everything. The media, what we try to do at Kick is try to break down this kind of really negative image young people get, because I think everyone here knows that the majority of young people are pretty nice people, and it's only kind of the limited few that do kind of give this kind of bad stereotype to young people. So I don't know, media-wise, I think some places, like what we're doing here as well, is trying to break that negative stereotype of disenfranchised young people, which I think is a great thing.
We've had an email from Sally in Wolverhampton, and it's, what can young people do to help themselves being a victim of crime? I'd ask you that, being a neighbourhood watch warden.
Well, myself, I would say stand up to the people what are doing it. Stand your ground, because eventually you will win over the crooks.
Yeah.
And that is my advice. But don't put yourself in danger.
Yeah. Thank you. Is there any more questions from the audience? No. Do you reckon that Wolverhampton is a safe city?
Yes, I believe it's a safe
Yeah.
city. I mean, we've got reductions in crime. We've been working in partnership with lots of other agencies to raise awareness on how people can look after themselves. And there's certain crimes that people actually could prevent themselves by taking some simple steps, such as burglary of people's homes. There's quite a high percentage actually through insecure windows and doors, so simple things like shutting doors. But yes, I believe Wolverhampton is a safe place, and we're doing a lot of work, and we're reducing overall crime.
What stuff is there in the community for youngsters to be going to, like youth clubs and stuff like that?
There's a whole variety of things going on in the community. There are obviously youth clubs that some run by volunteers, some run by the statutory agencies. But there's other things like there's the Youth Council in Wolverhampton, and there's other organisations and other meetings that the community can engage with youths, such as the Partnerships and Communities Together meetings, where we look at local issues on a monthly basis. The youth are underrepresented at those meetings. They could go, and if they've got an issue in their area that's pertinent to them, they can raise it the same way as anyone else that lives in that community. So there's youth organisations out there, and there's other meetings in which they can engage and become part of the community.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that, because obviously Kick FM is a youth station for young people, and actually I don't like the word youth because of the really negative stereotype it's given to young people. I prefer young people. So Kick FM is an example of what young people can do in Wolverhampton, and it's kind of a place where they can have their own time in a broadcast studio. They can get trained up to do whatever they want, really. So they can be journalists, newsreaders, they can have their own show, they can just mess about in there. It's kind of like a youth club with a bit extra to it. You actually get skills from it, which is really, really cool. Only problem with that is, at the moment, we are suffering from government cuts, as everyone is probably here with us. We've actually kind of lost our funding. From March the 31st, Kick FM may close, which is a terrible problem that we've got, and I think it's a problem that lots of youth organisations in Wolverhampton and across the country face.